Hey guys, welcome back to the garden. Sitting on my front porch today because it is quite damp and misty. We have gotten some rain over the last few days. It's been quite dreary this week, but between this morning and I think yesterday and Tuesday, we've probably gotten about a third, maybe over a third of an inch, which isn't a lot, admittedly, especially because it's been so dry here, but I will take anything that means we don't have to continue to hand water. I hope some of this rain has been beneficial anyway, so it's not going to be a planting day today because things are quite damp and misty. We do have some plants to get into the ground. I'll show you those and talk to you a little bit about those. And I have some exciting news. I have a trip coming up next week, so I'll talk to you about that. So welcome back to the garden. Come walk with me and let's talk about what looks good in the garden in late September. We're several days into the fall now, 2024. So since we started the video on my front porch, let's start out front here. The Midnight Sun Weigela and the variegated liriope looking beautiful, as well as the Firelight Tidbits. I love this hydrangea. Look at the gorgeous pink of the blooms. But everything in here looks really lush, even though we have not hand watered this part of the garden. Look at the sun patience. They're looking really brilliant. They really did fill in. It took a while for them to get started. And they actually did take over, I think, the caladiums a little bit. Maybe next year, if we decide to plant sun patience here again, we'll move the caladiums up a little bit farther. Caladiums are going to come out of the ground soon. We're going to save those, kind of like you would save dahlia tubers. We have 20 of them that we bought from Longfield Gardens, plus a couple of others that I brought home from the garden center over the summer, so we'll save those as well. We've got lots of them planted in here. These ones, I think when they're not planted near other plants, they seem to do better, especially plants that don't take over them. That Brunner is new too this year. That's looking really good. The only sun patience that didn't do really well this year are the two we have planted here. These constantly are in need of water. I often come home from work and find them wilted. This is one of our driest beds. You can see all the fallen Norway maple leaves from my neighbor's Norway maple. And even though we do have irrigation in here, this is the end of the irrigation line. So maybe the plants down here don't get nearly as much water. Although the sweet woodruff seems to have no problem. Maybe I'll just plant more of those. That was a new addition this year as well. Well, I did just notice that our azalea here has a new bloom on it. Pretty. These are, I believe, reblooming azaleas. They just never get to rebloom because it is so dry over here. But apparently they get just enough water to be happy. I do see another bloom on this one too. Or at least a bud. Look at that. That's exciting, although the hostas don't seem to have liked the dry weather this year. I'm going to just show you the astilbe for a second because I came out here one day last week and it was almost completely wilted to the ground. So I cut quite a bit of it back. And that does happen with astilbe. They do require lots of moisture. This is kind of what they look like. So you see that they just kind of fall apart, dry. So cut it back, give it a couple of pitchers of water, and it came back nicely. It's not going to bloom again. They will not rebloom, but at least it doesn't look dead. So as we come through the gate here, you'll see one of the new plants. So I think that's gonna how I'm going to do this video is as we come across the new plants, I'll show them to you. Just close the gate here. So this is a strong box, and we got this in at work for a customer who had some strong box she planted previously and was just looking for one or two more. So when she saw it, she is like, oh, that's way too big. It doesn't match my other strong box. Well, obviously they're going to get big over time. This is one of the biggest strong box I've ever seen. Usually they're very tiny in their containers. Mine certainly were when I planted them on our top retaining wall. But this one is probably 3 feet tall. So I said I would take it, and this is where it's going to go. Right in here. This is where we had a lot of phlox. Our phlox really always look horrible towards mid to late summer, and I just got tired of that look. Pulled them all out, So we're going to plant the strongbox here. It will add some evergreen interest. We do have the 2 Carex feather falls. I do think those are going to move. So, not sure what we're going to put there. It's not going to be this year, but as I said, the 2 Carex feather falls will come out. And I think what we're going to do is replace the cat's pajamas that we planted in this bed in the spring with Carex feather falls. I mean, this one looks okay, and this one looks okay, but these are the ones that get the most sun. So I think maybe we will replace them anyway with Carex feather falls in between the wee white hydrangeas here. Maybe move the catmint someplace else. And I'm showing you here, even though it's a mess, because I haven't gotten them out of the car yet, but a couple more variegated liriopes to go under our rose here. And I'll tell you why. So in that spot where we have the variegated liriopes going, we used to have 4 of these. See some new growth in there. So this is called a purple hued geranium. It's a perennial geranium with really, really beautiful pink, tiny pink, like magenta flowers. They have been, I think, eaten by voles over the past several years. So before we lost this one, we wanted to pull it out of the ground and get it in a container so that maybe next year we can put it someplace where it hopefully won't be eaten. So underneath the rose is where the 2 variegated liriopes are going to go, since we already have 2 or 3 over there to replace the geraniums. Kind of thought I wanted to do something else, like maybe put the catmint there, but I don't want the catmint to get eaten. Maybe pretty hardy plumbago, but I also don't want that to get eaten. I know the liriopes are tough. We never have any trouble with those, so that's why I bought those. So those will go there. So this rose is looking gorgeous. This is the orange glow. No, this is the coral knockout rose standard I brought home from work. It's really gotten wide, and it's really produced a lot of flowers. And I think we're having a problem with sawfly on all of our roses, and even though I did spray some of them last week, it doesn't seem to have worked. So I'm going to have to spray again. You can see a lot of the roses. These are the Oh So Easy Italian ice roses. A lot of the leaves have been just eaten off, so I'm pretty sure that's sawfly. So I will spray for those again when it's a little bit drier out. This is one of the Wee Bit Innocent hydrangeas we planted this summer. This one is blooming, at least starting to bloom, and it is just a slight pale pink. It's so pretty. I would call that one of our garden successes this year. This is one of the new perennials that we got into the garden center late August, and I have wanted to try Japanese anemones. This one's called curtain call, and you can see it's a really pretty pink. I only brought one because they can be quite invasive, and I don't want this taking over any of my bed. So this one's going to go down underneath our Colorado blue spruce where it will get more sun. Initially, I thought I wanted it to go up underneath our mulberry bed, but it is quite shady up there, and there's black walnuts, and I do not think these are black walnut tolerant. And I think the dryness underneath the bed, under the Colorado blue spruce, will try to keep these in check a little bit so they don't take over everything. So this is a fall blooming anemone. So I think it'll go pretty up in that bed because the mountain laurel and the azalea bloom early in the year, and we do have daffodils and tulips up there. Not a heck of a lot blooming at this time of the year. The Wee Bit Grumpy that we planted this summer seems to have been affected by lack of rain, and it just stopped blooming ages ago. So hopefully this will carry the season later into the year. So another new plant that we got into the garden center, I brought 3 of these home. This is called a carnival peach. It's looking a little ratty because the rain has it worn down, but it's called carnival peach heuchera. And this is going to go in our maple bed with the eclipse hydrangea and the sky view. So this is a full to part sun, which it will get part sun in that bed. And the reason why I wanted the peach And it's actually, when it's in full sun, it's a lot more pink than it is peach. And you can see that new growth there. I think this will look really nice with the eclipse hydrangeas in that bed. And we'll walk up there in a second so I can show you that. So this is the bed where I thought the peach heucheras would look nice. And I do have 2 of them up here. Because these 3 Kodiak Fresh Villa are going to come out, and the Castle Wall Holly is going to come out, but I don't know what's going to replace them. I haven't thought about planting these up here. I just kind of placed them to see what they were going to look like, because I don't know what's going to go in this bed. I don't know where to place those, although we're going to have to get them in the ground at some point. So here are the eclipse hydrangeas. Oh gosh, looks like something's been eating, even though we did spray for deer. But you can see, now that's past bloom obviously, but the eclipse hydrangea has dark foliage and really pink blooms. So I thought that the Carnival Peach Heuchera would look nice in here. And again, I have 3. We don't have any left at the garden center. I do feel like maybe 5 would have been better, but again, since this bed is a little bit in transition, I didn't want to buy too much and then not be satisfied. But these 2 cinnamon heuchera in here that we had gotten much earlier this year, those will come out. So maybe the 3 peach can come over here, because we did install drip irrigation in this bed several weeks ago. And there are 2 emitters coming to these heuchera. So maybe just to get the other ones through the season, we should take these cinnamon out, and I'll show you where those are going to go, and put the peach in. And this Let's Dance Skyview that's in this bed is actually the only one that has performed well this year. These 2, so this is a Let's Dance Skyview, and this is a Let's Dance Skyview. I don't know. These 2 I'm not impressed with, and it's almost like they're a different plant. Now, I know they're not, but I don't know if they had some kind of funky disease going on, but they never bloomed. They had really small leaves. Maybe now that we got the emitters to them, they will start to perform a little bit better. But anyway, let's go take a look at where those cinnamon heuchera are going to go, and I can give you an update on our Incredible hydrangeas that we planted earlier this season. So this Incredible really recovered well from what it looked like when I brought it home, and it's blooming. This one had a small bloom. Don't look like that actually did anything. But anyway, so this is where the cinnamon heuchera are going to go, because the color scheme over here is going to be dictated by the flamethrower redbud, which isn't looking very good right now because we transplanted it in the heat of summer and it just went downhill really fast. But that will look good with cinnamon heuchera, because the flamethrower is kind of orangey and yellowy and red. Gosh, we have a lot of mushrooms growing in here. The Royal Raindrops crabapple has crab apples. This will get moved in the spring. The hosta and the fern are putting on some new growth now that they're out of their cans and in the ground. Let's take a look at the Snow Queen. I do see some new leaves growing on that as well. Right there. We did move our concrete bird bath down here from the top of the property because I wanted a bird bath in here. I wanted some kind of structure, and I couldn't find one in the stores, so we moved it down here. I'll probably just get another one for up top next year. That's just from Lowe's. But I do have an exciting new fountain that I brought home from the garden center, and I'll share that with you as well. Turning around and looking at the back of our top retaining wall bed, these hydrangeas are doing well, especially since it's no longer really hot out. So we have here 2 Cherry Explosion, which are the ones in front, and 3 Let's Dance Rhythmic Blue in the back. And you can see they even have some new blooms and some aged blooms, kind of different colors too. So the 2 blooms on this one are pink, and the one on this one, it's done blooming, it was blue. So that's kind of neat, having different colored blooms on same types of hydrangeas. And this one back here is kind of like a blend of pink and purple, if you can see that. So these were a nice addition to this area, which is still in transition. Coming around the front of our top retaining wall bed, I've had to cover our boom chocolata hydrangeas. Something is eating them. I think it's probably a rabbit we've seen around here recently. The berry poppins is laden with berries, so the rain has caused that to weep down a little bit, but look at all the berries. I do think it's time to pull the Endless Illumination Broalia. I mean, we're getting close to October, so summer annuals are definitely past their peak. Going to be pulling the canna out of these 2 containers up here and saving them so I don't have to buy them again next year. So this is our other strong box. We have 2 on this side and 2 on that side. So that side of the bed mirrors this side. And you can see this one is not nearly as tall as the other one, although it is a little bit fuller. I can kind of see why that lady did not want that strong box, because it's just so much taller than any of the ones I have, and it's just almost looks like a upright boxwood. It's just really tall. Again, this Caryopteris is laden with raindrops and it's kind of weeping. We lost one of these this year, and I think that was because of spider mites. I don't know if it's going to come back next year. I did cut it way back, but I feel like, you know, these are a drought tolerant plant, and I think that even they were affected by the lack of rain this year. But it always looks really pretty with the Quickfire Hydrangea Standard. And then again, we have another Hydrangea Standard, and there was another Caryopteris under there. Right now it's just twigs. It does have a couple of branches that came back, but I don't know if that's going to make it through the winter. And here's the other canna on this side that I will be pulling out and saving. More Broalia over here. Again, those will be coming out. I think it's past their season, and something's eating those as well. And we have another younger berry poppins over here, which doesn't have quite as many berries, but it's still pretty. And then, of course, the gorgeous orange of the Kodiak Orange Durvella. So coming down this path, the marigolds are putting on a really pretty show for fall, so that's something. And they actually seem to have deepened in color a little bit, especially these beautiful orange ones. These pretty geraniums are blooming again too. These are a Monrovia geranium. They have that variegated foliage. I really, really like that. And then again, we have some more Firelight Tidbit. Look at that gorgeous color. I do feel like the flowers are a lot more pink this year than they were last year. So that's a surprise. Those are absolutely gorgeous. This container that we planted up for fall a few weeks ago is looking really, really pretty. There's that mahogany sweet potato vine from Proven Winners, and that dahlia has put on some new blooms. Absolutely gorgeous. That's going to be another one I'm going to save this year. These are the 3 Walker's Low catmint we transplanted here earlier in the season when we created the mulched bed around our Thuya Thin Man, and I have a feeling these are going to go next year for something a little less sprawling. I mean, I kind of thought in the back of my mind when we planted these here that these were not going to work, because the Thuya Thin Man, although they have not really put on much growth this year, maybe a foot, they haven't filled out, but they have put on some new growth up top. They're going to be 20 feet tall in time. So I feel like we need a shrub in here that's going to be in the 4 to 5 foot tall range. And obviously the Walker's Low catmint is not going to do that. Now they're great for weed suppression because you can see how much they sprawl. But even though we cut them back a little bit, they never put quite the show on their second time. So yeah, I think these will be dug out, maybe given to friends and family. And we'll replace these with some kind of hydrangea. This is the bed on the side of our driveway. But these are the May night salvias we transplanted into a container early in the summer. These were on our retaining wall bed, and they started blooming again. This one has some new buds on it, but it's not blooming. But that's really exciting because we don't typically get salvias to bloom a second flush around here, but because this bed is in full sun all day, I think that's why they've put on some new blooms. Also, this is the butterfly bush we planted earlier this year. This is I think this is a black knight. It's doing really well. When I brought this home from the nursery, I really thought we were going to lose it. Even after we planted it, it just did not look good, but it's filled out. It's got a lot of new growth. It's got gorgeous big purple blooms. So I'm happy about that. We pulled out all of the echinacea from this bed last year because it all had aster yellows. Obviously echinaceas really self-seed, so we do have new ones that have come up and they look okay. So cross your fingers that we won't have to lose these ones as well. We had white ones over here and they self-seeded over to here. You can see we have quite a few that have self-seeded in here. We have some agastache back there as well. This is where we transplanted our crepe myrtles and they have done really, really well here. Look at the gorgeous blooms and the dark foliage. I love that. And then there's some more cone flowers. We have some ilex glabras down here for evergreen interest. This coneflower is done blooming, but here's a close-up of the Midnight Magic crepe myrtles. They never looked this good inside our fence. Clearly loving the full sun down here. And then we have, this is another agastache, and then there's some blue mist flower in there that really needs to be pulled. Looks like it's all going to seed already, and they do readily self-seed. So I have a feeling we're going to have those all over this bed next year. Here is our Winecraft Gold Smoke Bush we transplanted. This one did not miss a beat in all the heat, and we definitely transplanted this in the heat of the summer, and it's doing just fine. Underplanted with this lantana we planted late in the season, which looks really pretty as well, and the two Pugster Blue butterfly bushes. So this was kind of an experiment to see. We knew we had room here in front of the Pugster Blue, which have really filled out nicely. Didn't know if I wanted to plant perennials or annuals, so we just bought some lantana, a color that would contrast nicely with the Pugster Blues. And I think that looks great. And I thought we did have room back here for a third Pugster Blue, right back here next to the boulder, but I'm not sure. I don't know if I want things to be on top of each other, so we'll see next year. Maybe we can get a third one in there, because these are about as big as they're going to get. Thought maybe I wanted to put that new rose here too. Orange Glow. We just put it in a container, and it does have a new bloom on it. I think it'll be a little too big for there. Maybe put it behind these two service berries, which I don't know that I want to keep, because the orange and the purple of the salvia and the butterfly bush will look really pretty. So everything we transplanted in here has done well. The panicum grasses, they're not as big as they should be, but that's because we transplanted them in the height of summer, but they've all survived. These are, I'll put it on the screen because for some reason I can't remember. The Vernonia that I planted about a month and a half. It's got some new flowers on it too, so that's doing well. The strongbox that we transplanted is doing well. The daylilies, the baptisia. This is another little quickfire. It was planted this year. Everything on this side is looking really, really nicely. And you can see the growth on the Theathin Man. Spindly. And you can see, I think you can see that pretty red is our Bloomathon azaleas. They're the reblooming. Only the one on the right is reblooming. I'm not sure what's wrong with the one on the left. Maybe it's just not getting enough sun. Those whirling butterflies are very, very vigorous. And then you can see our creek bed in the foreground, and the Donica arbs that we planted here last, I think it was late spring, early summer. They've definitely gotten bigger, and they have done so well here. I love the interest that they provide in the winter. I almost forgot these dwarf hamlin grasses, these pennisedums. These were up in our shade bed. I just showed you where the eclipse hydrangeas are. They were not getting enough sun up there, so we planted them down here. They've all bloomed this year. There's 3 on this side, and there's 5. Let me see if I can get you a shot of the other 2 in front of our Gold Spire Ginkgo. Yeah. Oh, well, you would have seen those probably when I showed you the container. And then there's the Ginkgo that replaced the Flamethrower Redbud. Coming up this direction, so here's a close-up of the coral reblooming azalea, which looks really pretty. I mean, that was the plan, to have it reblooming when the Caryopteris is blooming. And this is only the second or third time that they've bloomed this late in the season. Now, it could be because I treated and fertilized them earlier this year. But again, this one is not reblooming. They had scale really bad, so I treated those a couple of times. So I really like the way the coral and the blue look with the few remaining flowers from the whirling butterflies. And then this is the rose that I was telling you about that I thought would look nice down in the driveway bed. I think we're just going to keep it in the container for this year. But look at the gorgeous color. Just love that. So I'm going to finish the video back where I started and tell you about the trip that I will be going on October 3rd. So New Jersey, it's called the Garden State for a reason. There's a lot of wholesale nurseries and growers in New Jersey. And coming up next week, I think on October 2nd and 3rd is something called Jersey Days. So I will be traveling to New Jersey with one of my coworkers on Thursday to tour 2 wholesale nurseries. One is called Lucas and one is called Medford. Lucas is mostly, I think they only do annuals. So I'm not sure that there's going to be a heck of a lot to show there. They might have poinsettias growing at this time of the year. I don't know that they'll have much else growing, but we will get a nursery tour. And if I can film there, and if I feel like it's anything worth filming, I will. Medford is the second nursery that we're going to, and they are shrubs and perennials. And I did look at their availability list, and I'm kind of curious if I can buy anything while I'm there, because they do have New Gen Freedom Boxwoods, which I would like 3 more of, maybe even 6. So I don't know if I can buy anything there or not, since they are a wholesaler. Maybe I'll have to get it through the nursery that I work at. But anyway, so I'll see if I can do a video there as well. We'll have breakfast and lunch and nursery tours. So hopefully I'll be able to film some of that for you. So I hope you enjoyed this kind of walkthrough and just taking a look at what's looking good in the garden. I didn't go to the top of the property because I already did a video up there. I feel like it was like a late August tour once we had everything mulched. So I didn't go up to the rain garden or the mulberry bed. You've already seen that more recently, whereas you might not have seen a lot of the stuff that I showed you today. So thanks for coming along with me today on this little bit of a walk and talk, and showing you the plants that I bought that we will be getting in the ground in the next few weeks. So hopefully I will be able to video that. Oh, and I didn't show you the fountain that I bought, so let me show you that real quick. So here's the fountain. So it's the pedestal type fountain with the faucet. I think they call this a loggia fountain with a little bit of a basin. Didn't even realize it had the basin. All I saw at work was the pedestal, and I liked it. And it's not heavy, it's a resin. So I even got this into the car myself. I like the fact that you can put a container on top of it. I like this color. It's called Greystone, but it's like a silvery gray to me, almost like a greenish gray. So now that I see that it has the basin and actually included the pump too, don't know if the pump works. I don't know if this is going to fit where I thought we could put it. So just need to find out figure out a place to put it. But I wanted to share that with you real quick. So it started raining, so I had to come in and get my raincoat, and now I'm just standing inside to do the rest of this outro. So thanks for coming along today, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll see you in the next one. Bye.